So hello and welcome to our lockdown learning interviews, a series of chats with some of our staff all about learning in lockdown. In this session, we're going to talk about remote learning for younger children, those aged 7 to 10 in particular. I'm joined by Rachel Bryanton, Ipswich Prep Director of Studies, and Amy Barber, Upper Prep Phase Leader. Amy, I know this varies so much by school and age group, but can you explain a little bit about what's involved for the ages that you teach? What does a typical school day look like now?
Yeah, we're really lucky that we have been able to keep to quite a similar timetable to the children are used to. We have moved to 4-hour live lessons a day. They are having a range of lessons they'd normally have in school. We are obviously incorporating breaks away from the screen. In those breaks, we're encouraging physical activity. We have got recorded lessons for PE and also some live PE lessons, which are very exciting. And we've also incorporated, which I think is probably really important, is having form time at the beginning and the end of the day, so children have that social interaction with each other and they get to touch base with their form teacher, especially in 5 and 6, as they're taught by a wider range of subject teachers.
Lovely, thank you. So lots of parents are working from home whilst having to supervise their children. Do you have any suggestions for parents trying to juggle the home office with children having lessons at home? Rachel?
Well, it's tricky, isn't it? Balancing your work life at home with online learning. I think I would say make sure you have a routine. The children have a timetable. I guess you have a timetable. So in the morning, get up, get dressed and have breakfast as usual. Find a nice quiet place for them to work, but not so quiet you don't know what they're up to. So please do get engaged with what they're doing. Try and ask them questions and make sure that they are engaged in their learning. And I know that can be tricky, especially if there are several children in the house. Our parents have been really good at finding somewhere suitable for all of their children to set up base. I would say, as Amy said, they have an online timetable. Familiarise yourselves with it and be aware of where their breaks are. Their breaks are always at least 30 minutes. So this could be a good time for you to have a break as well. And I would say if you've got a really important meeting to have, don't timetable it during one of these breaks, because you can guarantee there'll probably be quite a lot of noise about.
Thank you. Amy, how do you know if children are understanding what they're being taught?
This is probably the hardest part as a teacher, not having them in the classroom with you. The Google facility is brilliant, the Google Meet facility. We are live for an hour each lesson, so the children can then ask questions. We can give immediate feedback, which is really important for the age group we're working with. We set work in the Google Classroom. It's marked, feedback is given. We are also using the Mote feedback, which is a verbal feedback. So for younger children, maybe in year 3 and 4, for them, if they can't read the comments, they can hear their teacher's voice giving them the feedback. We are also saying to parents, if your children are struggling, please email us and let us know, and we can address that. But having the live meets, you can give that instant feedback, see what work they're working on, if they're working on a document. So yeah, it is hard not having them in the classroom, but using Google is the next best thing.
Great, thank you. Rachel, what have been the main problems and how have you overcome them?
Well, obviously, if we move over to something technical, one of the biggest problems are technical issues, and Wi-Fi can be a problem when we're planning lessons and delivering lessons. So we're very mindful of that. And when we're planning lessons, we try to make the instructions really clear so that we're confident if the children can't access the live part of the lesson, they can read the instructions on the work and know exactly what they have to do. We try and set tasks really that don't require printing, because we know that not everyone at home has a printer, and they certainly wouldn't want to be printing off reams and reams of paper for their children. We are flexible about the way children record their work, and this has proven to be really important. While we want to encourage children to continue to develop their handwriting, for some children, they prefer to type their work, and it's easier for them to submit their typed work through the Google Classroom rather than scanning it in. And for many children, it's a mixture of the both. So we are flexible with what we do there. I think one of the biggest challenges with online learning is practical activities, because by the very nature of a primary classroom, you'd forever be doing practical activities and asking children to break into small groups to discuss issues. So we're trying to be flexible and learn as we go along. So we've just started to use something called breakout rooms in Google Classroom, where we can allocate children to talk about things in smaller groups. And that's really popular, and the children love that. We're trying to adapt and make things as practical as we can, forever mindful, of course, that that could put some stress on parents at home. So, for example, in Year 5, we're learning about the Victorians, and we were due to have a Victorian Day. So whilst we can't do that next week, we're setting the children the task of making a Victorian toy at home. So we've already supplied them with a shopping list so that they're ready, prepared, Blue Peter style, to make their Victorian toy in the Google Classroom.
That's great, thank you. Amy, how should parents get their children ready for the day ahead?
Yeah, I think Rachel touched on having that routine, that schedule. It's very easy to suddenly roll out of bed, keep those pajama bottoms on. But I would recommend having a schedule in the morning, getting dressed, having that breakfast, and making sure that you're dressed ready for the lesson as you start to go on. When you start the day in a good way, you're the means to go on. And I think having a clear work area, not too much things on the desk, and of course having that water and healthy snacks to keep them hydrated and energy going for the day.
Thank you. And Rachel, have there been any adaptations that you think actually, yeah, these have worked really well for us?
Well, yes, understandably, I'd rather be in the classroom having face-to-face lessons with the children, but online learning has certainly been an opportunity for children to develop independence, especially in the Year 3 to 6 age range. They've had to organise their own work, they've had to be in the right virtual classroom at the right time, and they've had to submit their work when it's complete. And I think these skills will really help them as they move into their next stage of their career. In terms of adaptations, we've got staff who've been really quite creative. We've done measuring area and perimeter using items around the home. We've had musical instruments being made in the kitchen, lots of kitchen science. So we are being really adaptive. And I'd say with our form time and our pastoral care, we've had really good fun there. And children have come with crazy hats on. They brought their pets to form time. Usually a theme. We've had discos, we've had all sorts. So we've tried to incorporate lots of fun as well.
And Amy, what's this I've been hearing about you and carpet?
Yes, we've been doing area and perimeter in year 4. So we had the tape measures out. I think we had lots of parents measuring with them. It was a really good activity. I had lots of parents saying they had fun, and a child saying that they wanted a new carpet. I think that was their way of measuring the perimeter and area of their class, of their bedroom, and trying to persuade parents to redecorate. I'm keeping away from that one.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much. It's been really interesting. And then to finish, Amy, would you mind just talking us through your top tips for parents? And I'll just
of course. So we've touched on having a timetable for the day and trying to stick to it. We obviously have to be a little bit flexible if things don't go our way, but keeping that timetable, making sure your child gets up and is dressed and is mentally prepared for work, and that they're in the right frame of mind to start that day. Have a dedicated space for them to work in, preferably quiet, but an area that you can keep a little eye on them as well. Fuel for learning. Of course, we need that water, we need that active time, not sitting at that desk all day, and having healthy snacks to keep them ready for the day ahead. Establishing a balance between routine and flexibility. I touched on that about having a timetable, but this age group, things can go wrong, or things don't always go the way that you think they're going to go. So it is having that routine, but being flexible along with it. And time away from the screen for both parents and children, and making sure you're having those brain breaks and having that little walk around the garden or having some fresh air away from the screen. And go. We're in this together. Keep communicating between the school and home. All the parents have our email, and it's important to keep that communication going because we are all in this together, in this learning journey that we're going through. small steps. Don't look too far ahead. So don't look at next week or half term, just be looking at that day, the next day. What are we doing tomorrow? What lesson have you got first thing? Children can't look too far ahead. So just keeping that day ahead and what we're doing today. And ask, what have you learned today? Keeping those questions going, seeing what the children are doing, and yeah, just asking the questions of what they've been up to.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time and thank you for sharing these insights. Well done to all the teachers, the children and the parents for adapting so well. Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.